conversation today. Right now, courts are meeting on both sides of the border to enforce his despotic commands as well as provincial commands to try to rein in these people who are peacefully protesting. The problem with both of those things is the courts are being now railroaded into the participation in the criminal conspiracy. But the fact of the matter is, this is felony violations of the law. This is domestic coercion, which is a felony. And any law enforcement, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, any administrative court anywhere in Canada can arrest him. He is actually committing crimes. And the reason why we have to have this conversation now is because courts are going to make weekend judgments on whether truckers have the right to have their redress considered. And right now, the courts are tilting towards the criminals, not towards the peaceful Democrats.
So what's it going to take to reverse that?
Well, things like these conversations. The fact of the matter is we have been advocating for the people in Canada, and by the way, people here in the United States who are thinking of doing similar actions. We've been advocating that we do not relent on the point that it is, in fact, the conditions of democracy that are at stake. And so what it takes is people sharing the word, people getting this information distributed as far and wide as possible, and directing it specifically towards prosecutors and towards courts. This is a very targeted campaign. This message has to land in the hearts and minds of people who may still have a modicum of morality and decency.
So you don't see Trudeau bending, breaking, negotiating, capitulating at all?
Well, kind of the way I didn't suspect Capone was forecast to capitulate. The reason I use the Capone analogy is this is organized crime. That's what our statutes on competition, that's what our statutes on fair commerce are all about. And the fact of the matter is, when you tell the world in April of 2020 that a license that dates back to 1998, and for the fact checkers out there that want to follow the thread on this, University of British Columbia, Tecmira Pharmaceuticals, Inex Pharmaceuticals, all which rolled up to the Moderna and the BioNTech licenses for what is now licensed through Acuitas Pharmaceuticals and Arbutus Pharmaceuticals, the two companies that are the named distributors of the holding vessel, the lipid nanoparticle for the injection. Those companies have been in commercial ventures benefiting Canada since the first license was signed in 1998, amended again in 2001, then 2006, and ultimately in 2007. And Stu, part of the reason why this is so frustrating is that when Moderna was launching their campaign after Trudeau's comment, they were vigorously trying to get the Canadian patents overturned so that they could infringe them. But the Canadians and the United States collaborated and colluded to make sure that the Canadian interest was defended. And ultimately, Moderna lost and had to pay the license. So when I say that Canada gets paid for every shot, that's not hyperbole. That's actually court records.
Okay, so what court is meeting on this now?
Well, right now we've been told that there are a couple meetings, one in Ottawa and one with respect to the bridge closure of the Freedom Bridge. These are two courts, one trying to suppress the ability for people to protest in Ottawa, in fact, suggesting that they're going to pass laws as early as tonight on making it illegal to block a road or a highway, and have something as much as one of the reports suggests $100,000 fine for anybody doing that. So that's what's happening in Ottawa. And then there is a court that's currently hearing the case with respect to the Freedom Bridge to see whether or not it's legal to have an intervention to force people to remove the blockade of the Freedom Bridge. And the reason why that's important is because right now, 25% of the trade between the United States and Canada, and specifically hitting the automotive industry most remarkably, 25% of that trade goes across that single bridge. And it turns out that if courts rule in favor